Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. It's feeling a little bit like December this morning, but it's still wonderful to be outside and enjoy a very crisp, beautiful morning. So, I wanted to share something. Usually during our worship service, most Sundays, not every Sunday, but most Sunday, we have a passing of the peace where we offer the peace of Christ to each other. And usually that ritual comes with a lot of hugs and handshakes and high fives and holding of hands and close conversations of folks connecting after a week apart. That's been different, however, hasn't it, over these almost 2 years now of pandemic. And I have to admit, I'm feeling the feeling the loss of that lack of physical connection that we had, that greater level of physical connection, physical intimacy, sharing a hug, leaning in and asking somebody how they were doing, how was their week at the same time that we offered the peace to each other. And so that reminded me of an article that I read recently in Christian Century magazine. The article talks about this concept of the connection between our physical senses and spiritual senses. And particularly as an individual named Maximus, who was a 7th century monk, described that connection between the physical senses and spiritual faculties or spiritual connections. And Maximus believed that being alert to how our physical senses connect to those spiritual faculties can bring us closer to God, or at least allow us to experience God in a deeper way. And so one of those, I just wanted to share one of those connections with you, and that is the connection of touch. So of course we've got sight and hearing and taste and smell and touch, right? So for Maximus, he believed that touch was connected to the spiritual sense of touch corresponds to the vivifying faculty, And that's a really fancy way of saying he believes the physical sense of touch helps us bring something more fully into life. And so think about that, the connections we share with a hug, the connections we share if we hold a loved one's hand, those certainly do bring us deeper into life, don't they? And the pandemic there's just been a dearth of touch, physical touch during the pandemic. Not being physically near coworkers or family members or friends or loved ones is, that physical separation. Also the hesitancy and the fear early on to pass germs along to each other through a handshake or something. So we started fist bumping and elbow bumping. But then as the pandemic got a little bit deeper, we stopped doing that altogether, right? So it's just something that I'm thinking about. And I guess what I want to encourage us as we start a new week is I encourage all of us to be extra alert to our senses this week. Be extra alert to the sense of touch, to hearing. What is it that delights our ears and that we hear? Pay attention to what we don't hear also, and why that is that we might tune some things out. What we see, what we smell. Oh my goodness, the sense of smell is something that can instantly, if I walk into a room, particularly at my grandparents' house, it just transports me back many years, some of those smells from my childhood. And taste as well, right? Pay attention to those this week. I don't want you to, you don't have to make it anything fancy, make it some big spiritual quest, but just draw some attention to your senses this week. And then I guess I encourage each one of us to think about whatever is the safest way for you to do so in your physical comfort during this pandemic. See if there's some way that you can share touch with somebody this week. It could be, those in your own household, holding a hand, lingering a hug a little bit longer, just holding somebody. I think we're a bit touch deprived right now in our society, and so it's something that I think could really lift some people's spirits. So think about that. I'd love to hear. I'll post the article that I read in the chat if you're interested in learning more, and particularly how the other senses connect to other spiritual faculties. But I'd love to hear as you go through the week, what's coming to you from the different senses that you're drawing some attention and alertness to. Okay? Well, I wish you all a blessed week and again, continued peace and comfort this Advent season. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.